श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। स्वसुखनिवृतचेतास्तद्व्युतस्त्यान्यभावोऽप्यजितरुचिरलीला आकृष्टसारस्तदीयं वितनुतकृपया यः तत्त्वदीपं पुराणं तमखिलविर्जिघ्नं व्याससूनुं नतोऽस्मि। यं प्रव्रजन्तम् अनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। यस्वानुभावमखिलश्रुतिसारमेकमध्यात्मदीपम् अदितितीर्षतां तमोन्धं संसारिणां करुणयाः पुराणगुह्यं तं व्याससूनुमुपयामि गुरुं मुनीनाम्। यस्वेतत्त्वमुपागतः कृतयुगे त्रेतायुगे रक्तताम् युग्मे यः कपिले कलौ च भगवान् कृष्णत्वमायागतम् कर्तारं जगतो वदन्ति मुनयो यो योगिभिर्गीयते स ब्रह्मा यदि वा हरिर्यदि शिवो यः कोऽपि तस्मै नमः। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्ठात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय कृष्णायाक्लिष्टकारिणे नमो वेदान्तवेद्याय गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीगणेश शारदा गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रीशिवाय गुरवे नमः। In the last session we saw how Suda Maharshi was pleased at the dharmic questions posed by Shaunakadi Maharshis in the first chapter. As all the prashnas, some prashnas, that questions deal with Sri Krishna and the means of attaining him through vichara or enquiry. So as a result, Suta complimented Shaunaka's enquiry, pratipujya vachastesham pravaktumupachkrame, and started to clarify the answers to all their questions. That is what we saw. Now today, Sridhara is giving a short introduction to today's verse, the second verse of the second chapter of the first canto. Sridhara writes, Pravachanasya upakramo nama guru devata namaskara iti tamaha yamiti. So in the beginning, you have to offer respects to your Ishtadevata. So Suta is invoking his Guru Shuka and he's offering respects to his Guru Shuka. That's what Suta is proceeding to do in this next verse. Again, Sridhara writes in way of introduction, Tatra Swaguroho Shukasya Aishwaryam Tacharite Neva Dyotayan Naha Yamiti. So, he has to say something gracious about his Guru. So, by recounting an event that happened at the very beginning of Shuka's ascetic life, Sudha starts extolling his Guru's greatness and then starts this second chapter. Suta Uvacha Yam Pravrajantamanupetamapeta Dvaipayano Virahakatara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Taravobhinedu Tam Sarvabhuta Hrudayam Munim Anatosmi. That is the verse. So the Padacheda would be Yam Pravrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayanaha Viraha Kataraha Ajuhava Putra iti Tanmayataya Taravaha Abhineduhu Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munim Anataha Asmi. There is a Padacheda. And the prose order or Anvaya would be Anupetam apetakartyam pravrjantam yam virahakadaraha dvaipayanaha putra iti ajuhava tanmayataya taravaha abhineduhu sarvabhuta hridayam tam munim ahamanatosmi. So that is the Anvayam. The meaning would be yam means it is a Dvitiya Ekvachanam. Yaha yav ye yam means whom. Pravrajantam. Vraja means to go. Pravrajantam means while going away. To do what? To lead a life of a recluse, a renunciate. How? Anupetam. Without being invested with Upanayanam or the sacred thread. Apeta krityam. Apeta means not undergoing. Krityam means prescribed duties or ceremonies. Dvaipayanaha means Vyasa. Viraha meaning separation from Shuka. Kataraha being agitated. Ajuhava he called out. Putra iti, O my son. Iti thus. Tanmayataya being absorbed in that emotion. Taravaha all the trees around. Abhineduhu they responded. Shuka did not respond. Tam to him, to Vyasa. Sarvabhuta hridayam. Sarva all bhuta beings. So one who had entry into the heart of all living beings. Munim said Shuka Anatosmi. I, Suta, the disciple, offer respects to my Guru Suta. That is the meaning of this verse. So what is the meaning? Suta Uvacha. Suta said. What did he say? Sage Shuka, my Guru, who was seen by his father Sage Vyasa or Dvaipayana. Dvipa means island. Dvipam means island. Dvaipayana means one who is born in an island. Vyasa was born in an island. So Vyasa is called Dvaipayana Vyasa. Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. That is his name. So when Dvaipayana saw Shuka, while yet young and uninitiated and who was ready to go away all alone with the intention of leading a life of a renunciate, a recluse, by giving away his household. And therefore, Vyasa had no occasion to perform any secular or religious initiations or duties. And at this thought, Vyasa was agitated. And he was also agitated with the thought of separation from his son. And then he called out, Hey, my son. And for this calling out, Suta did not respond. At that time, it was the trees along the path where Suta was walking that responded on his behalf, on Shuka's behalf, filled as if they were by Shuka's presence. I bow to that Guru, that sage, Shuka, who being one with the universal being, has entered the hearts of all beings with his yogic prowess. That's the meaning of this verse. Now here Sridhara writes, Yam Pravrajantam. The word Pravrajantam means Sanyasya Gachantam, one who had given up the worldly ties and is ready to go, move out of house. That's the meaning of Pravrajantam. Anupetam. Mam Upanayasva iti Anupaneyanartham Upasannam. So he did not ask that he should be initiated. That is why he is called as Anupetam. Edva Kenapi Anupetam. Upeta also means to be endowed with, to be followed by. So here Anupeta means Shuka was going all alone. Anupetam, na upeta, na sameta. He was not with anyone else. Ekakinam ityarthaha. That's what Sridhara writes. So Shuka was ekaki. That's the meaning of Anupetam. Why was he ekaki? Tatra hetuhu. The reason was Apeta krityam krityashunyam karma marge apravartamanatvat. Because he was not interested in worldly pursuits. Naishtikatvat. Because he had nishta. As a result, Dvaipayanaha Vyasaha Virahat Kataraha Bhitaha San. So Vyasa became very agitated. Why? Because of Viraham, separation from his son. Plutena Ahutavan, he called out for his son. Tada, when he called out, Tanmayataya Shukarupataya Taravaha Abhinetuhu. They attained Tanmayatvam. The trees became Shuka, as though. And then Pratyuttaram Uktavantaha. They gave the reply. Otherwise, Sridhara is writing, Pituhu Sneha Anubandha Pariharaya Vriksharupena Uttaram Dattavan ityarthaha. Shuka himself made the trees to reply so that he can separate from his dad. He can cut off that attachment. Sneha Anubandha Pariharaya. In order to eliminate that association due to affection, he made the trees reply on behalf of him. Tam munim anatosmi. Sarvabhuta Hridayam. There Sridhara writes, Sarvabhutanam Hridayam means Manaha. Hrit means Manaha. Hrit Ayate. Ayate means Yoga Balena Pravishati. Ayate means Pravishati. So he entered each and every human living being through his Yoga Bala. Iti Sarvabhuta Hridayam Shukam. Tam Anatosmi. So this word Sarvabhuta Hridayam here means, according to Sridhara, due to his Yoga Bala, Shuka had entry into the hearts of all the beings, including the trees. Why? Because due to his living a liberated life, he had already attained this Brahmajnanam or Brahmanishtha. So that is the meaning of Sarvabhuta Hridayam, according to Sridhara. It is identifying with Sarvam, or knowing the entire universe, the entire creation as oneself, as opposed to our common experience. The experience is that we just know our own body, mind, sense complex. Because we are not free of this, it implies a lack of freedom, unlike Shuka. And when we are identified with the body, then we are enslaved by our tendencies, our vasanas. And those vasanas condition us to our circumstances, our enslaving habits, which in turn has a binding influence on us, making us bonded. But the state of Shuka, a Paramahamsa, is very different, because he always revels in his Swarupam. Unlike us, the embodied, we are completely overcome by Swabhava, or our natural inclinations, tendencies. Abiding in our Swarupa or true nature is indeed our purpose of life. But Shuka has achieved it. The same way we work, swayed by many desires to achieve various things, we take these various pursuits and achieve them. Shuka has achieved it by Jnana Nishtha. So for abiding in the self, for Atmanishtha, the means or sadhanam is what? Dedicated effort under the guidance of a Srotriya or a traditional Vedic teacher. And then Sadhu Samagamaha, the company of Jijnasus or like-minded seekers. So one has to be at such places which encourages that kind of understanding. A sincere desire and a prayerful life will ensure that those conditions are spontaneously put together by the grace of Bhagavan, which shall eventually result in the achievement of Swarupam. Once you get a taste, once such a frame of mind is cultivated, then one leads a liberated life without effort because it becomes his natural habit. Because it is our true nature. The mukti is not something outside us. It is freedom. It is Swarupa Avasthanam. If that is the case, where from this Swabhava which is binding us, these natural inclinations, these vasanas, how did they creep in? The Upanishad says, the Katha Upanishad, the reason is Andhena Niyamana Yathandhaha. Because we human beings, we have a tendency in human nature to blindly follow, to blindly ape the masses. This is typically known as the lemming mentality. Lemmings, it's a creature. It's a furry-footed, small, mouse-like rodent. They are noted for their mass migration, following their leaders, which go into the ocean, where many of them get drowned because they don't know how to swim. So this kind of mentality is what leads to social influence of various lifestyles and varieties of ways of wrong thinking, attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. So the first thing is, do not conclude that a particular faith or a thought must be right because it is believed or followed by many people. And secondly, in assessing a thought or an idea, the age of that truth has no relevance. Just because a truth was presented as old as the hills, it is in no way superior to a truth found today. Neither the opposite is true, as Kalidasa points out in the very beginning of his Malavika Agnimitram. There he says, Puranamityeva nasadu sarvam nachapi kavyam navamityavadyam. Puranamityeva nasadu, because something is ancient, it need not be holy or be factual. Nacha navamiti avadyam, because something is modern, navam iti, it may not be free from fault. So we have to do that examination. Thirdly, who is speaking this truth and from which podium this truth was spoken has no relevance over the superiority or inferiority of the truth. The conclusive test of truth is truth itself. Swataha pramanam. Truth is swataha pramanam, self-referral, and it validates, authenticates itself. Like all these scientific truths which the scientists pursue, the philosophical truths also must face the test of repeated proofs of vyavahara or experimentation and pratiti, perception by everybody. It has to be universal. Pratiti vyavaharabhyam arthasiddhi. So this shows that one need to get rid of the habit of blindly following the popular sentiment and be unbiased in one's thinking in order to be interested in the pursuit of truth and to overcome one's innate vasanas or tendencies by sincere effort. So, what then is this sign of a relative freedom from our vasanas? If you look, no habit which, if not fulfilled, should make one's life miserable. That is a sign. One should be able to live peacefully with or without anything and everything. This is the Paramahamsa Sthiti. It's a state which is full of overflowing, inexplicable pleasure without any limitation whatsoever by Desha, Kala, and Vastu Paricheda, without the need to depend on a particular place, object, or time. In short, a free person, doesn't mind the outcome of whatever that happens around him. All his actions are mere gestures with no impact whatsoever on his Swarupa. It implies living without binding oneself to anything like time or chance or place or person. Otherwise, what will happen? One will become Virahakatara Ajuhava. He'll become Virahakataraha. He will become filled with the fear of separation, as Sridhara writes, Dvaipayanaha Vyasaha Virahat Kataraha Bhitaha. Vyasa was unable to tolerate the pangs of separation from his son Shuka, who was walking away from him without having this initiation. So, binding oneself to anything, any person, one will have to undergo the pangs of viraha or separation from it, and that is sorrow, that is shokam. And what are these factors which causes this shokam? Number one, dehatma buddhi, assuming that one is the body subject to cycle of birth and death. If you assume that you are the body, then that is your number one reason for shoka. Number two is sangam, because dehatma buddhi naturally is followed by sangam, or an attachment to an external object that makes one bound to yoga or viyoga, union with the desired object, and then the inevitable separation or viyoga from that very same object. Third is lolupatvam, or pleasure mongering or overindulgence of sensual pleasures, which brings the binding influence of transient joy, followed invariably by sorrow. Sukasyanandaram dukkham. There is a rule. If there is a fleeting joy, then it will follow with a hangover, with the sorrow. The fourth one is ragadvesha, the binding cause, binding which is caused by attraction and repulsion in one's own mind due to the appraisal of good and bad in the external objects. The last one, the fifth one, is artha arthida, greed, the fear of want, which forces one to amass wealth, objects, making one further insecure. So all these binding factors lead one to shoka or sorrow. There is indeed no need to stockpile objects, wealth, or for its own sake. Then there wouldn't be a reason for attraction or repulsion. And then there is no feeling of dvandvata or duality. It means one happily lives and lets others around him live alike, free from sorrow, ignorance, and fear. Such a life was lived by Shuka, who was intoxicated with this divine joy and radiating peace to all who are in his presence by his glances, by his words and actions. He was an embodiment of renunciation and sacrifice and universal love. There are many, many famous and anonymous saints and sadhus living such a life because they have woken up, simply because such waking up, such a life is possible. Where do they derive that joy? Where is this joy that they are experiencing coming from? If you look in deep sleep, one gets over the worries of the world. One becomes very peaceful in sleep. And when one gets up, one feels rejuvenated and refreshed. If you look at deep sleep, there is no thought at all in your mind. That is the reason why you become free of worries. Because in that state, in order to worry, you need a thought pattern by weaving which you can eventually become despondent. But you don't have thoughts. Or, what is the reason behind our spontaneous smile on seeing a sunset, a mountain, or smelling a jasmine flower, or any pleasant fragrance, which we enjoy when we are in a serene and peaceful, receptive mood? Does this flower magically transmit and plant that smile on your face? Or is it the happiness that is ingrained inside you which manifests as a smile at the sight of this jasmine or sunset? That you see a flower in front of you is because you have a vritti, a flower thought in your mind. Where does that vritti come from? Where does that thought begin? You will find that it springs forth from consciousness, from awareness. And if you examine in reality, there is no thought. Why? Because if for something to be real, it has to have a form. And there is no form for any given thought. Then what is it which is surging? All that is there is consciousness. That is what the Upanishad says. Sarvam khalvidam brahma. Then the pleasure or pain attributed to the jasmine flower, that is just a figment of imagination of the mind. Because happiness has to be inside us. The treasury of eternal happiness is within us. That is what the Anandavalli of the Taittiriya Upanishad says. Anando Brahme Divyajanat Anandadhyeva khal vimani bhutani jayante Anandena jatani jivanti Anandam prayanti abhisamvishanti Saisha bhargavi varuni vidya parame vyoman pratisthita sa evam veda pratitishthati. So sage Bhrigu, he realized that happiness is within and happiness is Brahman. For of delight or ananda, imani bhutani jayante, all these beings are born. By delight when born do they live, jatani jivanti. Into delight at the time of dissolution do they enter, do they merge. Abhisamvishanti. This is the ancient wisdom taught by Varuna and learned by the student Bhrigu in this Upanishad. Parame vyoman pratisthita. This happiness, this ananda, is established in the supreme akasha or a cosmic space in the recess, inner recess of one's own heart. Ya evam veda pratitishthati. And he who knows this and experiences this by such knowing rejoices in Brahman. And then what happens? Anandam Brahmano Vidwan Nabheti Kutaschaneti. One who is established in this inner delight shall have nothing to fear. But on the contrary, if you don't know, or the ignorance of this inner delight, it leads to a life of bondage and fear. Existence free from this bondage of ignorance and sorrow is called as Paramahamsa Sthiti. This is what Sri Brahmendra, who was a great Paramahamsa, says, addressing his own mind. Manasa sancharare, Brahmani manasa sancharare. O mind, your pastime, you like to wander. That's what you like most. May your pilgrimage be in this Brahman. Why? Paramahamsa Mukha Chandra Chakore Paripurita Murli Ravadhare. Because the Paramahamsas, Parama means great, Hamsas means ascetics, sannyasins. The Paramahamsas delight in that Brahman, in that Mukha Chandra, in that moon face of Krishna, which is like a partridge bird, a chakora. O mind, revel in that Krishna, Paripurita Murli Ravadhare. May your pilgrimage be in this Brahman that fills the whole universe, Paripurita. By what? Murali Rava, with a mellifluous flow of music from his flute. So a Paramahamsa thus finds delight in everything in this world. He does not lose his bliss at any excuse, because it has become his habit to find this inner delight under all circumstances, because that is his treasure, Shevadhi. And he is the master of this treasure and himself. The Bahya Desha Kala Vastu, or the extrinsic external states or conditions or circumstances, cannot disturb this inner tranquility, because he has found this source, and when it suits him, he will tune to it. It is all possible for us, for all, but it needs indomitable will, unswerving commitment, and unflinching direction towards one's purpose, which was discovered by Sri Shuka. Swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषा गो ब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति।